MPs voted on whether the UK can or cannot leave the EU without a deal come the March 29 crunch date. The results signalled yet another defeat for the Prime Minister. MPs voted in favour of an amended government motion to reject a no-deal Brexit at any time and under any circumstances by 321 votes to 278, majority 43. Lawmakers voted by 312 to 308 in favour of Amendment A proposal put forward by a group of lawmakers calling on the government to rule out a no-deal exit. It went further than the government's motion, which notes that Parliament does not want to leave without a deal on March 29 and that the default legal position is to leave without a deal unless one is ratified by Parliament. Amendment A overrides the government's motion. The first result caused Theresa May to whip her MPs to vote against her own amendment, as it would restrict her bargaining power. But the vote passed Parliament with 321 votes to 278, which means the House of Commons believes the UK cannot leave the EU without a deal under any circumstance. Here is who voted for and against the amendment. Read more. How did MPs vote on Theresa May's deal? Conservative: Gitto Bebb, Aberconwy, Richard Benyon, Newbury, Nick Bowles, Grantham and Stamford, Kenneth Clarke, Rushcliffe, Jonathan Gianogli, Huntingdon, George Freeman, Mid-Norfolk, Justine Greening, Putney, Dominic Grieve, Beaconsfield, Sam Gema, East Surrey, Philip Lee, Bracknell, Oliver Letwin, West Dorset, Paul Masterton, East Renfrewshire, Sarah Newton, Truro and Falmouth, Mark Pawsey, Rugby, Antoinette, Sandbach, Edsbury, Nicholas Soames, Mid-Sussex, Edward Vaisley, Wantage, Labour, Diane Abbott, Hackney North and Stoke Newington, Debbie Abrahams, Oldham East and Saddleworth, Rushanara Alley, Bethnal Green and Bow, Rosner Allen Khan, Tooting, Mike Amesbury, Weaver Vale, Tonya Antoniazzi, Gower, Jonathan Ashworth, Leicester South, Adrian Bailey, West Bromwich West, Margaret Beckett, Derby South, Hilary Benn, Leeds Central, Clive Betts, Sheffield South East, Roberta Blackman Woods, City of Durham, Paul Blomfield, Sheffield Central, Tracy Braben, Batty and Spen, Ben Bradshaw, Exeter, Kevin Brennan, Cardiff West, Lynn Brown, West Ham, Nicholas Brown, Newcastle upon Tyne East, Chris Bryant, Rhondda, Karen Buck, Westminster North, Richard Burden, Birmingham, Northfield, Richard Bergen, Leeds East, Dawn Butler, Brent Central, Liam Byrne, Birmingham, Hodge Hill, Ruth Cadbury, Brantford and Isleworth, Ronnie Campbell, Blythe Valley, Alan Campbell, Tynemouth, Dan Carden, Liverpool, Bolton, Sarah Champion, Rotherham, Jenny Chapman, Darlington, Anne Clwyd, Cunnin Valley, Vernon Coker, Gedling, Julie Cooper, Burnley, Rosie Cooper, West Lancashire, Yvette Cooper, Normanton, Pontefract and Castleford, Jeremy Corbyn, Islington North, Neil Coyle, Bermondsey and Old Southwark, David E. Crosby, Bolton North East, Mary Cray, Wakefield, Stella Creasy, Walthamstow, John Crudders, Dagenham and Raynham, John Cryer, Leighton and Wanstead, Judith Cummins, Bradford South, Alex Cunningham, Stockton North, Jim Cunningham, Coventry South, Janet Dabby, Lewisham East, Nick Dakin, Scunthorpe, Wayne David, Carefully, Geraint Davies, Swansea West, Marcia de Cordova, Battersea, Gloria De Piero, Ashfield, Tarngam Debonair, Bristol West, Emma Dentcode, Kensington, Tanmanjeet Singh Dussey, Slough, Annalisa Dodds, Oxford East, Stephen Doughty, Cardiff South and Penarth, Peter Dowd, Bootle, David Drew, Stroud, Jack Dromey, Birmingham, Erdington, Rosie Duffield, Canterbury, Maria Eagle, Garston and Halewood, Angela Eagle, Wallasey, Clive Efford, Eltham, Julie Elliott, Sunderland Central, Louise Elman, Liverpool, Riverside, Chris Elmore, Ogmore, Bill Esterson, Sefton Central, Chris Evans, Islwyn, Paul Farrelly, Newcastle under Lyme, Jim Fitzpatrick, Poplar and Limehouse, Colleen Fletcher, Coventry North East, Caroline Flint, Don Valley, Yvonne Fauvargue, Makerfield, Vicky Foxcroft, Lewisham, Deptford, James Frith, Bury North, Jill Furness, Sheffield, Brideside and Hillsborough, Hugh Gaffney, Coatbridge, Christian and Bells Hill, Barry Gardner, Brent North, Ruth George, High Peak, Preet Kaur Gill, Birmingham, Edgbaston, Mary Glindon, North Tyneside, Roger Godseth, Birmingham, Hall Green, Helen Goodman, Bishop Auckland, Kate Green, Stretford and Urmston, Lillian Greenwood, Nottingham South, Margaret Greenwood, Wirral West, Nia Griffith, Lanethley, John Grogan, Keighley, Louise Haig, Sheffield, Keighley, Fabian Hamilton, Leeds North East, David Hanson, Delin, Emma Hardy, Kingston upon Hull West and Hessel, Harriet Harman, Camberwell, and Peckham, Carolyn Harris, Swansea East, Helen Hayes, Dulwich and West Norwood, Sue Hayman, Workington, John Healy, Wentworth and Durn, Mark Hendrick, Preston, Mike Hill, Hartlepool, Meg Hillier, Hackney South and Shoreditch, Margaret Hodge, Barking, Sharon Hodgson, Washington and Sunderland West, Kate Holland, Blackburn, George Howarth, Knowsley, Rupert Huck, Ealing Central and Acton, Imran Hussain, Bradford East, Dan Jarvis, Barnsley Central, Diana Johnson, Kingston upon Hull North, Darren Jones, Bristol North West, Gerald Jones, Merthyr Tydfil and Rumney, Graham P. Jones, Hyndburn, Helen Jones, Warrington North, Kevin Jones, North Durham, Sarah Jones, Croydon Central, Susan A. Larn Jones, Clwyd South, Mike Kane, Wythenshawe and Sale East, Barbara Keeley, Worsley and Eccles South, Liz Kendall, Leicester West, Afzal Khan, Manchester, Gortin, Gedkillen, Rutherglen and Hamilton West, Stephen Kinnock, Aberavon, Peter Kyle, Hove, Leslie Laird, Kirkcaldy Caddenbeath, David Lammy, Tottenham, Ian Lavery, Wansbeck, Caronley, Lincoln, Emma Llewellyn Buck, South Shields, Clive Lewis, Norwich South, Tony Lloyd, Rochdale, Rebecca Long Bailey, Salford and Eccles, Ian C. Lucas, Wrexham, Holly Lynch, Halifax, Justin Madders, Ellesmere Port and Neston, Khalid Mahmood, Birmingham, Perry Bar, Shibana Mahmood, Birmingham, Ladywood, Seema Malhotra, Feltham and Heston, Gordon Marsden, Blackpool South, Sandy Martin, Ipswich, Rachel Maskell, York Central, Christian Matheson, City of Chester, Steve McCabe, Birmingham, Selly Oak, Kerry McCarthy, Bristol East, Siobhan McDonough, Mitcham and Morden, Andy MacDonald, Middlesbrough, John MacDonald, Hayes and Harlington, Pat McFadden, Wolverhampton South East, Connor McGinn, St Helens North, Alison McGovern, Wirral South, Liz McInnes, Hayward and Middleton, Catherine McKinnell, Newcastle upon Tyne North, Jim McMahon, Oldham West and Royton, Anna McMorran, Cardiff North, Ian Mearns, Gateshead, Edward Miliband, Doncaster North, Madeline Moon, Bridgend, Jessica Morden, Newport East, Stephen Morgan, Portsmouth South, Graham Morris, Easington, Ian Murray, Edinburgh South, Lisa Nandy, Wigan, Alex Norris, Nottingham North, Melanie On, Great Grimsby, Chi Onwara, Newcastle upon Tyne Central, Kate Ossomore, Edmonton, Albert Owen, Anis M. N. Stephanie Peacock, Barnsley East, Teresa Pierce, Erith and Thamesmead, Matthew Pennycook, Greenwich and Woolwich, Toby Perkins, Chesterfield, Jess Phillips, Birmingham, Yardley, Bridget Phillipson, Horton and Sunderland South, Laura Peacock, North West Durham, Joe Platt Lee, Luke Pollard, Plymouth, Sutton and Devonport, Stephen Pound, Ealing North, Lucy Powell, Manchester Central, Yasmin Qureshi, Bolton South East, Faisal Rashid, Warrington South, Angela Rayner, Ashton-under-Lyne, Steve Reed, Croydon North, Christina Rees, Neath, Ellie Reeves, Lewisham Western Penge, Rachel Reeves, Leeds West, Emma Reynolds, Wolverhampton North East, Jonathan Reynolds, Staley Bridge and Hyde, Marie Rimmer, St Helens South and Wiston, Jeffrey Robinson, Coventry North West, Matt Rodder, Reading East, Danielle Rowley, Midlothian, Chris Ruane, Vale of Clwyd, Lloyd Russell Moyle, Brighton, Kemptown, Naz Shah, Bradford West, Virendra Sharma, Ealing, Southall, Barry Shearman, Huddersfield, Paula Sheriff, Dewsbury, Julep Siddick, Hampstead and Kilburn, Dennis Skinner, Bolsover, Andy Slaughter, Hammersmith, Ruth Smith, Stoke-on-Trent North, Cat Smith, Lancaster and Fleetwood, Eleanor Smith, Wolverhampton South West, Jeff Smith, Manchester, Withington, Laura Smith, Crewant Nantwich, Owen Smith, Pontypridd, Karen Smith, Bristol South, Gareth Snell, Stoke-on-Trent Central, Alex Sobel, Leeds North West, John Speller, Worley, Keir Starmer, Holborn and St Pancras, Joe Stevens, Cardiff Central, Wes Streeting, Ilford North, Paul Sweeney, Glasgow North East, Mark Tarmy, Allen and Deeside, Gareth Thomas Harrow, West, Nick Thomas Simmons, Torvion, Emily Thornbury, Islington South and Finsbury, Stephen Timms, East Ham, John Trickett, Hemsworth, Anna Turley, Redcar, Carl Turner, Kingston upon Hull East, Derek Twig, Halton, Stephen Twig, Liverpool, West Derby, Liz Twist, Bladen, Keith Vaz, Leicester East, Valerie Vaz, Walsall South, Thelma Walker, Colne Valley, Tom Watson, West Bromwich East, Catherine West, Hornsey and Wood Green, Matt Weston, Warwick and Leamington, Alan Whitehead, Southampton, Test, Martin Whitfield, East Lothian, Paul Williams, Stockton South, Phil Wilson, Sedgefield, Mohammed Yassin, Bedford, Daniel Zeichner, Cambridge, SNP, Hannah Bardell, Livingston, Mary Black, Paisley and Renfrewshire South, Ian Blackford, Ross, Skye and Low Harbour, Kirsty Blackman, Aberdeen North, Deidre Brock, Edinburgh North and Leith, Alan Brown, Kilmarnock and Loudon, Lisa Cameron, East Kilbride, Straven and Lesmer Hagar, Douglas Chapman, Dunfermline and West Fife, Joanna Cherry, Edinburgh South West, Ronnie Cowan, Inverclyde, Angela Crawley, Lanark and Hamilton, East Martindale, Linlithgow and East Falkirk, Martin Doherty Hughes, West Dumbartonshire, Marion Fellows, Motherwell and Wishaw, Stephen Gethins, North East Fife, Patricia Gibson, North Ayrshire and Arran, Patrick Grady, Glasgow North, Peter Grant, Glen Rothes, Neil Gray, Adrian Shotts, Drew Hendry, Inverness, Nan, Badenoch and Strathspey, Stuart Hosey, Dundee East, Chris Law, Dundee West, David Linden, Glasgow East, Angus Brendan McNeil, Norwich Alienan, and IR Stuart Malcolm MacDonald, Glasgow South, Stuart C. MacDonald, Cumbernauld, Kilsyth and Kirkintilloch East, John McNally, Falkirk, Carol Monaghan, Glasgow North West, Gavin Newlands, Paisley and Renfrewshire North, Brendan O'Hara, Argyll and Bute, Tommy Shepherd, Edinburgh East, Chris Stevens, Glasgow South West, Alison Thewlis, Glasgow Central, Philippa Whitford, Central Esher, Pete Wishart, Perth and North Perthshire, Liberal Democrats, Tambrake, Carshalton and Wallington, Vince Cable, Twickenham, Alistair Carmichael, Orkney and Shetland, Edward Davey, Kingston and Surbiton, Tim Farron, Westmoreland and Lonsdale, Ware Hobhouse, Bath, Christine Jardine, Edinburgh West, Norman Lamb, North Norfolk, Layla Moran, Oxford West and Abingdon, Jamie Stone, Keith Ness, Sutherland and East Ross, Joe Swinson, East Dunbartonshire, Cladcamera, Jonathan Edwards, Carmarthen East and Dine FWR, Ben Lake, Ceredigion, Liz Saville Roberts, Tweevor Mario Nith Howell Williams, Avon, Green Party MP Caroline Lucas, Brighton Pavilion, Independent MPs Heidi Allen, South Cambridgeshire, Ian Austin, Dudley North, Luciana Berger, Liverpool, Wavertree and Coffey, Stockport, Mike Gapes, Ilford South, Chris Leslie, Nottingham East, Ivan Lewis, Bury South, Stephen Lloyd, Eastbourne, Jared O'Mara, Sheffield, Hallam, Fiona Onasanya, Peterborough, Joan Ryan, Enfield North, Gavin Shuker, Luton South, Angela Smith, Penistone and Stocksbridge, Anna Sobry, Broxtowe, Chuka Amuna, Streatham, Chris Williamson, Derby North, Sarah Wollaston, Totnes, John Woodcock, Barrow and Furness, Tellers for the Eyes were Labour MPs Nick Smith, Blaenau Gwent and Bambos Carol Ambus, Enfield, Southgate, Conservative, Nigel Adams, Selby and Ainsty, Adam Afria, Windsor, Peter Aldous, Waveney, Lucy Allen, Telford, David Ames, Southend West, Stuart Andrew, Pudsey, Edward Argar, Charnwood, Victoria Atkins, Louth and Horncastle, Richard Bacon, South Norfolk, Kemi Badenoch, Saffron, Walden, Steve Baker, Wickham, Harriet Baldwin, West Worcestershire, Stephen Barclay, North East Cambridgeshire, John Barron, Basildon and Billericay, Henry Bellingham, North West Norfolk, Paul Beresford, Merle Valley, Jake Berry, Rossendale and Darwin, Bob Blackman, Harrow East, Crispin Blunt, Reigate, Peter Bone, Wellingborough, Peter Bottomley, Worthing West, Andrew Bowie, West Aberdeenshire and Kincardine, Ben Bradley, Mansfield, Karen Bradley, Staffordshire, Mullins, Graham Brady, Altrincham and Sale West, Suella Braverman, Fareham, Jack Brereton, Stoke-on-Trent South, Andrew Bridgen, North West Leicestershire, Steve Brine, Winchester, James Brokenshire, Old Bexley and City Cup, Fiona Bruce, Congleton, Alex Burgert, Brentwood and Ongar, Connor Burns, Bournemouth West, Alan Cairns, Vale of Glamorgan, James Cartledge, South Suffolk, William Cash, Stone, Maria Caulfield, Lewis, Alex Chalk, Cheltenham, Raymond Chishti, Gillingham and Raynham, Christopher Chope, Christchurch, Joe Churchill, Bury St Edmunds, Colin Clark, Gordon, Simon Clark, Middlesbrough South and East Cleveland, James Cleverley, Braintree, Geoffrey Clifton Brown, The Cotswolds, Therese Coffey, Suffolk Coastal, Damian Collins, Folkestone and Hythe, Robert Courts, Whitney, Geoffrey Cox, Torridge and West Devon, Tracy Crouch, Chatham and Aylesford, Chris Davies, Brecon and Radnorshire, David T.C. Davies, Monmouth, Glyn Davies, Montgomeryshire, Mims Davies, Eastley, Philip Davies, Shipley, David Davis, Halton Price and Howden, Caroline Dinage, Gosport, Leo Doherty, Aldershot, Michelle Donnellan, Chippenham, Nadine Dorius, Mid-Bedfordshire, Steve Double, St Austerland, Newquay, Oliver Dowden, Hertmere, Jackie Doyle Price, Thurrock, Richard Drax, South Dorset, James Duddridge, Rochford and Southend East, David Duguid, Bamford and Buchan, Ian Duncan Smith, Chingford, and Woodford, Greenland, Duncan, Rutland and Melton, Philip Dunn, Ludlow, Michael Ellis, Northampton North, Charlie Elphicky, Dover, George Eustace, Camborne and Redruth, Nigel Evans, Ribble Valley, David Avenett, Bexley Heath and Crayford, Michael Fabricant, Lichfield, Michael Fallon, Sevenoaks, Mark Field, Cities of London and Westminster, Kevin Foster, Torbay, Liam Fox, North Somerset, Mark Francois Rayleigh and Wickford, Lucy Fraser, South East Cambridgeshire, Marcus Fish, Yeovil, Roger Gale, North Thanet, Mark Garnier, Wyre Forest, Nusrat Ghani, Wealden, Nick Gibb, Bognor Regis and Littlehampton, Cheryl Gillen, Chesham and Amersham, John Glenn, Salisbury, Zach Goldsmith, Richmond Park, Robert Goodwill, Scarborough and Whitby, Michael Gove, Surrey Heath, Luke Graham, Auckland, South Perthshire, Bill Grant, Carrick and Cumnock, Helen Grant, Maidstone and the Weald, James Gray, North Wiltshire, Chris Grayling, Epsom and Ewell, Chris Green, Bolton West, Andrew Griffiths, Burton, Kirstine Hare, Angus, Robert Halfon, Harlow, Luke Hall, Thornbury and Yate, Philip Hammond, Runnymede and Weybridge, Matt Hancock, West Suffolk, Greg Hans, Chelsea and Fulham, Mark Harper, Forest of Dean, Rebecca Harris, Castle Point, Trudy Harrison, Copeland, Simon Hart, Carmarthen West End, South Pembrokeshire, John Hayes, South Holland and the Deepings, James Happy, Wells, Chris Heaton Harris, Daventry, Gordon Henderson, Sittingbourne and Sheppey, Nick Herbert, Arundel and South Downs, Damien Hines, East Hampshire, George Hollingbury, Meon Valley, Kevin Hollenreg, Thirsk and Malton, Philip Hollowbone, Kettering, Adam Holloway, Gravesham, John Howell, Henley, Eddie Hughes, Walsall North, Jeremy Hunt, Southwest Surrey, Nick Hurd, Ruislip, Northwood and Pinat Sajid Javid, Bromsgrove, Raniel Jai Wardener, North East Hampshire, Bernard Jenkin, Harwich and North Essex, Andrea Jenkins, Morley and Outward, Robert Jenrick, Newark, Boris Johnson, Uxbridge and South Ruislip, Caroline Johnson, Sleaford and North Hykeham, Gareth Johnson, Dartford, Andrew Jones, Harrogate and Knaresborough, David Jones, Clwyd West, Marcus Jones, Nuneaton, Daniel Kowczynski, Shrewsbury and Atcham, Gillian Keegan, Chichester, Seema Kennedy, South Ribble, Stephen Kerr, Stirling, Julian Knight, Solihull, Greg Knight, East Yorkshire, Kwasi Kwartung, Spelthorne, John Lamont, Berwickshire, Roxburgh and Selkirk, Mark Lancaster, Milton Keynes North, Pauline Latham, Mid Derbyshire, Andrea Leadsom, South Northamptonshire, Edward Lee, Gainsborough, Andrew Lewis, Northampton South, Brandon Lewis, Great Yarmouth, Julia Lewis, New Forest East, Ian Little Granger, Bridgewater and West Somerset, David Lydington, Aylesbury, Julia Lopez, Hornchurch and Upminster, Jack Lopresti, Filton and Bradley Stoke, Jonathan Lord, Woking, Tim Loughton, East Worthing and Shoreham, Craig McKinley, South Thanet, Rachel McLean, Redditch Tan, Main Street, Albans, Alan McHavant, Kittin Malthouse, North West Hampshire, Scottman, North Cornwall, Theresa May, Maidenhead, Paul Maynard, Blackpool North and Cleveless, Patrick McLaughlin, Derbyshire Dales, Stephen McPartland, Stevenage, Esther McVeigh, Tatton, Mark Menzies, Fylde, Johnny Mercer, Plymouth, Moorview, Hugh Merriman, Bexhill and Battle, Stephen Metcalfe, South Basildon and East Thurrock, Maria Miller, Basingstoke, Amanda Milling, Cannock Chase, Nigel Mills, Amber Valley, Andrew Mitchell, Sutton Coldfield, Damian Moore, Southport, Penny Mordaunt, Portsmouth North, Nicky Morgan, Loughborough Tan, Marie Morris, Newton Abbot, David Morris, Morecambe and Lunsdale, James Morris, Haley's Owen and Rowley Regis, Wendy Morton, Aldridge Brown Hills, Cheryl Murray, South East Cornwall, Andrew Morrison, Southwest Wiltshire, Robert Neal, Bromley and Chislehurst, Caroline Noakes, Romsey and Southampton North, Jesse Norman, Hereford and South Herefordshire, Neil O'Brien, Harborough, Matthew Offord, Hendon, Guy Opperman, Hexham, Neil Parish, Tiverton and Honiton, Priti Patel, Whittam, Owen Patterson, North Shropshire, Mike Penning, Hemel Hempstead, John Penrose, Weston-super-Mare, Andrew Percy, Brigand, Goole, Chris Philp, Croydon South, Christopher Pincher, Tamworth, Dan Poulter, Central Suffolk and North Ipswich, Rebecca Power, Taunton Dean, Mark Prisk, Hertford and Stortford, Mark Pritchard, The Wrekin, Tom Pursglove, Corby, Wilquins, Colchester, Dominic Rabb, Esher and Walton, John Redwood, Wokingham, Jacob Rees-Mogg, North East Somerset, Lawrence Robertson, Tewkesbury, Mary Robinson, Cheadle, Andrew Rosendale, Romford, Douglas Ross Murray, Lee Rowley, North East Derbyshire, David Rutley, Macclesfield, Paul Scully, Sutton and Cheam, Bob Seeley, Isle of Wight, Andrew Selous, South West Bedfordshire, Grant Shapps, Welland Hatfield, Alok Sharma, Reading West, Alec Shelbrick, Elmerton, Rothwell, Chris Kidmore, Kingswood, Chloe Smith, Norwich North, Henry Smith, Crawley, Julian Smith, Skipton and Ripon, Royston Smith, Southampton, Hitchin, Mark Spencer, Sherwood, Andrew Stevenson, Pendle, John Stevenson, Carlisle, Bob Stewart, Beckenham, Ian Stewart, Milton Keynes South, Rory Stewart, Penrith and the Border, Mel Stride, Central Devon, Graham Stewart, Beverley and Holderness, Julian Sturdy, York Outer, Rishi Sunak, Richmond, Yorks, Desmond Swain, New Forest West, Hugo Swire, East Devon, Robert Sims, Poole, Derek Thomas, St Ives, Ross Thompson, Aberdeen South, Maggie Throop, Erewash, Gully Tolhurst, Rochester and Strood, Justin Tomlinson, North Swindon, Michael Tomlinson, Mid Dorset and North Poole, Craig Tracy, North Warwickshire, David Tredinnick, Bosworth, Anne-Marie Trevelyan, Berwick upon Tweed, Elizabeth Truss, South West Norfolk, Tom Tugendhat, Tunbridge and Malling, Shailesh Vara, North West Cambridgeshire, Martin Vickers, Cleethorpes, Theresa Villiers, Chipping Barnet, Charles Walker, Broxbourne, Robin Walker, Worcester, Ben Wallace, Wyre and Preston North, David Warburton, Somerton and Frome, Matt Warman, Boston and Skegness, Giles Watling, Clacton, Helen Whately, Faversham and Mid-Kent, Heather Wheeler, South Derbyshire, Craig Whitaker, Calder Valley, John Whittingdale, Malden, Bill Wigan, North Herefordshire, Gavin Williamson, South Staffordshire, Mike Wood, Dudley South, William Ragg, Hazel Grove, Jeremy Wright, Kenilworth and Southam, Nadim Zahawi, Stratford-on-Avon, Labour, Stephen Hepburn, Jarrow, Kate Hoey, Vauxhall, DUP, Gregory Campbell, East Londonderry, Nigel Dodds, Belfast North, Geoffrey M. Donaldson, Lagan Valley, Paul Girvan, South Antrim, Emma Little Pengelly, Belfast South, Ian Paisley, North Antrim, Gavin Robinson, Belfast East, Jim Shannon, Strangford, David Simpson, Upper Bann, Sammy Wilson, East Antrim, Independent, Sylvia Herman, North Down, Conservative, Solicitor General Robert Buckland, Foreign Office Minister Alistair Burt, Business Secretary Greg Clark, Defence Minister Tobias Elwood, Justice Secretary David Gauke, Business Minister Richard Harrington, Culture Minister Margot James, Education Minister Anne Milton, Scottish Secretary David Mundell, Business Minister Claire Perry, Work and Pensions Secretary Amber Rudd.